The little girl was crying quietly on a worn-out office couch while her father, still wearing a paint-stained work shirt, knelt beside her trying to tape together her broken school project with shaking hands. Around them, expensive suits hurried through the shining lobby, barely noticing them. Then the company's powerful CEO stepped out of the elevator, paused in complete silence, and watched something that none of her executives had ever shown her in years. She didn't see a man trying to impress anyone. She saw a father giving everything he had to keep one little promise to his daughter. In that unforgettable moment, neither of them knew their lives were about to change forever. Before we continue, if you believe kindness deserves a second chance and that true love begins with respect rather than wealth, please like this video, comment where you're watching from, share it with someone who believes in hope, and subscribe to the channel Hardworking Dad. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach more people. Every morning before sunrise, Rowan Mercer woke up in the tiny apartment he rented on the edge of the city. The place was small enough that the kitchen, dining room, and living room blended into one crowded space, but to his 8-year-old daughter, Nora, it was still home because it was filled with laughter, bedtime stories, and a father who never stopped trying. 3 years earlier, Rowan had lost his wife during a sudden illness that left both of them completely unprepared. Since then, every single day had become a balancing act between earning enough money to survive and being the father his daughter desperately needed. Money was always short. Bills arrived faster than paychecks. Shoes wore out before he could replace them. Sometimes Rowan skipped dinner so Nora could have seconds without ever realizing why her father insisted he wasn't hungry. Yet he never complained. His greatest fear wasn't poverty. It was allowing his daughter to believe she was growing up without enough love. Rowan worked as part of the maintenance crew for Greystone Holdings, one of the largest companies in the region. While executives made million-dollar decisions in glass conference rooms, Rowan repaired broken lights, fixed leaking pipes, painted damaged walls, and quietly disappeared before anyone important noticed he had been there. Most employees knew him only as the friendly maintenance worker who always smiled and never refused extra work. Unknown to Rowan, the company had recently welcomed a new CEO named Celeste Vaughn. She had built a reputation for transforming struggling businesses into successful ones through discipline, intelligence, and impossible standards. Financial magazines described her as brilliant but emotionally distant. Employees admired her leadership but feared disappointing her. She expected excellence from everyone because she demanded even more from herself. Their worlds couldn't have been more different. One rainy Tuesday, Nora's school unexpectedly closed after a water pipe burst. Rowan had no relatives nearby, and every babysitter he called was unavailable. Missing work meant losing wages he couldn't afford to lose, so he nervously asked permission to bring Nora with him for only a few hours. His supervisor reluctantly agreed as long as she stayed out of everyone's way. Nora sat quietly beside him with coloring books while Rowan repaired hallway ceilings. She smiled politely whenever office workers passed by, but most barely looked in her direction. Rowan apologized repeatedly for the inconvenience even though his daughter wasn't causing any trouble at all. During lunch, Nora excitedly remembered the science project due the following morning. She opened her backpack only to discover that the carefully built model had been crushed beneath several maintenance tools. Her bright smile disappeared instantly. She stared at the broken pieces with watery eyes, trying to stay brave because she didn't want her father to feel guilty. Rowan's heart sank. He knew how many evenings they had spent building that project together after work. He remembered cutting cardboard late into the night while Nora painted stars across the tiny display. Seeing it destroyed felt like watching weeks of precious memories collapse in front of them. Without hesitation, Rowan emptied his lunch break to rebuild everything from scratch. He searched maintenance closets for spare cardboard, borrowed tape, found paint markers, and carefully pieced together every broken section. He ignored his own empty stomach and focused only on restoring the smile on Nora's face. That was the moment Celeste Vaughn walked into the lobby. She had been heading toward an important meeting involving investors from overseas when she noticed the unusual scene. Instead of rushing past, she quietly stopped several steps away. She watched Rowan patiently encourage Nora each time another piece fell apart. His hands were rough from years of physical labor, yet they handled every fragile paper piece with remarkable gentleness. Whenever Nora looked discouraged, he smiled first, refusing to let disappointment become stronger than hope. No one knew the CEO was standing there. Not once did Rowan notice her expensive suit or the executives waiting anxiously behind her. He wasn't trying to gain attention or sympathy. His entire world existed inside that little circle of tape, glue, cardboard, and unconditional love. Something inside Celeste shifted. She had spent years surrounded by ambitious people constantly trying to impress her. Employees complimented every decision she made. Business partners competed for her approval. Executives rehearsed conversations before entering her office. But this man didn't even know she was watching. His kindness wasn't a performance. It was simply who he was. The meeting eventually started without her, something that shocked everyone in the building. Instead of discussing profits, Celeste quietly asked human resources about the maintenance employee named Rowan Mercer. The file they handed her contained almost nothing remarkable. Average performance reviews. Perfect attendance despite difficult circumstances. Never requested special treatment. Frequently volunteered for extra shifts. No disciplinary issues. Quiet. Reliable. Buried near the end was one sentence explaining that he had declined several promotions because they required evening hours away from his daughter. Celeste read that line twice. In a company filled with people chasing titles, bonuses, and recognition, one employee had willingly turned them down simply to eat dinner with his child. For the first time in years, the numbers on financial reports felt less important than the quiet story hidden inside an ordinary personnel file. She began noticing Rowan everywhere after that. He greeted security guards by name every morning. He carried heavy boxes for receptionists without being asked. He repaired broken furniture in the employee daycare before fixing executive offices because, as he once explained to another worker, children shouldn't have to wait longer than adults. Every small action revealed the same pattern. He never looked for applause. He simply chose kindness whenever no one expected it. And without realizing it, the most powerful woman in the company found herself looking forward to seeing the maintenance worker whose greatest accomplishment wasn't fixing buildings. It was quietly holding together the heart of one little girl while his own heart carried burdens no one else could see. Little did Rowan know that the CEO had already begun questioning everything she believed success was supposed to look like, and the next unexpected challenge would place both of them on a path neither money nor power could ever have planned.